Kira stood in front of the Zentari High Council, her blue skin shimmering under the bright lights of the chamber. She had returned from Earth 3 cycles ago and spent that time preparing her report. The 7 council members watched her with large, unblinking eyes, their silver skin reflecting the ambient light. Researcher Kira, we have reviewed your initial findings about human fear, the head counselor said. Her voice was flat, lacking the emotional inflections Kira had grown accustomed to hearing from Olivia. Your conclusions are troubling. Kira maintained her composure, standing tall among her people. I understand my findings challenge our long-standing beliefs about emotional evolution. However, the data supports my conclusion that fear serves a valuable function in human survival. Another counselor leaned forward. Your report suggests we should reconsider our own emotional suppression. This borders on heresy. I merely present my observations based on direct experience, Kira responded. Human Olivia demonstrated that fear can enhance decision-making and response time in crisis situations. It is not merely a primitive response, but a sophisticated warning system. The council chambers filled with the soft hum that indicated Zentari disapproval. Kira knew her position was precarious. The Zentari had spent thousands of years evolving beyond emotions, seeing them as weaknesses. Yet her time on Earth had shown her something different. Perhaps the human influenced you more than you, realized the head counselor suggested. Your neural patterns show unusual activity. Since your return, Kira had anticipated this argument. I underwent the standard decontamination and psychological rebalancing upon my return, she countered. My neural patterns show increased activity in analytical regions, not emotional ones. I am processing new information, not experiencing emotional contamination. The council conferred silently, using their telepathic connection, a communication method they rarely shared with lower-ranking Zentari like Kira. After several minutes, the head counselor addressed her again. We have decided to continue this research line under strict conditions. You will return to Earth with a full scientific team. You will remain as primary contact with the human Olivia, but your interactions will be monitored. Any sign of emotional transference and you will be immediately extracted. Do you accept these terms? Kira felt a strange sensation in her chest. Something like anticipation, but sharper, more focused. Was this perhaps a proto-form of what humans called excitement? She quickly suppressed the thought before it could register on the council's monitoring systems. I accept the mission parameters, Kira said with appropriate Zentari detachment. The return journey to Earth took less time than her previous mission. The Zentari had developed new propulsion technology during her absence, allowing their ship to reach Earth in half the time. Their arrival was carefully coordinated, with human authorities who had established protocols for alien visitation since first contact 5 years ago. Olivia was waiting at the landing site when Kira's shuttle touched down. This time they were not in the remote wilderness of Montana, but at a designated diplomatic facility in Colorado. Kira noticed Olivia looked different. Her hair was shorter, and there was a new confidence in her stance. Welcome back to Earth, Kira, Olivia said with a smile. I was surprised to hear you'd be returning. The Zentari researcher stepped from the shuttle, followed by 4 other Zentari scientists who maintained a respectful distance. Your government has approved an expanded research mission, Kira explained. My colleagues will be studying other aspects of human physiology and culture, while I continue my work on emotional responses. Olivia's eyes moved to the other Zentari, then back to Kira. I see. Well, I hope you're ready for a more in-depth experience this time. We have a full schedule planned. The facility provided to the Zentari team was more advanced than the cabin Kira had stayed in during her first visit. It contained laboratory space and living quarters designed to accommodate the aliens' physiological needs. The other scientists quickly established their equipment, while Kira prepared for her first formal session with Olivia. The human arrived precisely on time, carrying what Kira recognized as a data tablet. These are the activities the Cultural Exchange Committee has approved, she said, handing the device to Kira. There are some experiences designed specifically for your fear. Research. Kira reviewed the list. There were visits to entertainment venues, emergency response training centers, and something called wilderness survival training. Among the approved activities was one that caught Kira's attention: skydiving. Kira read aloud. This involves falling from aircraft. Olivia nodded with a slight smile. Yes, it's considered an extreme sport. Humans do it for fun, but it's also known to trigger intense fear responses even in experienced jumpers. It's completely safe with modern equipment, but your brain doesn't quite believe that when you're standing at an open aircraft door. One of Kira's colleagues, Commander Vela, approached, overhearing their conversation. "This seems unnecessarily dangerous," she said. "Our research does not require physical risk." Olivia turned to the new Zentari. "I assure you it's very safe. Thousands of humans do it every day. The statistical chance of injury is minimal." Vela did not appear convinced. "Nevertheless, we will need to review all proposed activities before approval. The researcher Kira has value to our mission." After Vela walked away, Olivia gave Kira a questioning look. "She seems protective." Kira considered how to explain Zentari hierarchy in terms Olivia would understand. "Commander Vela is my direct superior for this mission. She is responsible for the safety of all researchers and for making sure you don't go native." Olivia suggested with a raised eyebrow. Kira tilted her head, not fully understanding the idiom. The commander ensures protocol is followed. The next day began with a formal meeting between the Zentari research team and human scientists. Each side presented their research goals and methodologies. Kira noticed the human scientists showed various emotional responses during the meeting: interest, surprise, occasional frustration. In contrast, her Zentari colleagues maintained perfect composure, their faces revealing nothing of their thoughts. When the meeting concluded, Olivia approached Kira. "Ready for our first session?" They traveled to what Olivia called a research hospital, a human facility where medical studies were conducted. A doctor greeted them in a laboratory filled with monitoring equipment. "Dr. Patricia Gordon." Olivia introduced the neuroscientist I told you about. "She's been studying fear responses in patients with brain injuries." The doctor extended her hand, which Kira took, remembering the human greeting custom. "Fascinating to meet you," she said. "Your species' neurological structure must be quite different from ours. I'd love to discuss comparative brain anatomy sometime. Today we will be using functional imaging to monitor both of your brain activities while exposed to various stimuli," Dr. Gordon explained. "We can compare how a human brain and a Zentari brain respond to the same fear triggers." Commander Vela had approved this research activity after thorough review. Kira lay on a scanning platform, while Olivia took a similar position. Nearby, both were connected to monitoring equipment. The doctor showed them a series of images and video clips designed to provoke fear responses in humans. Kira's brain showed activity, but it was primarily in regions associated with analysis and observation. Olivia's brain lit up in the amygdala and related structures. The patterns were dramatically different. After an hour of testing, Dr. Gordon showed them the results. "The difference is remarkable," she said. "Your brain, Kira, processes everything through rational pathways, even stimuli that trigger immediate emotional responses in humans. Is this true of all Zentari?" Olivia asked. Kira considered how to answer without revealing too much about Zentari biology. "Our species evolved to process information differently. Fear as you experience it would be inefficient for our neural structure, but you still have some emotional capacity." Olivia pressed. "You mentioned your people evolved beyond emotions, which means you had them once." Commander Vela, who had been observing silently, stepped forward. "This line of questioning exceeds the approved research parameters," she stated. "The evolutionary history of Zentari neurology is not relevant to the current study." Olivia looked like she wanted to argue, but instead nodded respectfully. "Of course, I apologize." Later, as they left the facility, Olivia spoke quietly to Kira. "Your commander seems concerned about what you might reveal." Kira kept her voice equally low. "Some aspects of Zentari physiology are considered sensitive. There are concerns that knowledge of our weaknesses could be exploited." "Weaknesses," Olivia repeated. "So emotions are considered weaknesses?" Kira did not respond immediately, weighing her words carefully. "Against our evolutionary path?" "Yes, but My research suggests this view may be incomplete. What happens if your research contradicts your species' beliefs? Olivia asked. That question, Kira realized, was precisely what troubled the High Council, and why Commander Vela watched her so closely. Science follows evidence, she replied finally. The conclusions will be evaluated based on data. Olivia smiled. That sounds very logical and Zentari. But in my experience, even scientists can resist changing their fundamental beliefs when faced with contradicting evidence. Kira found she could not disagree. The skydiving facility was located in a flat open area surrounded by mountains. The day was clear with minimal wind, perfect conditions, according to the human instructor who briefed them. Kira listened carefully as the man explained safety procedures, emergency protocols, and proper body positioning during freefall. Commander Vela had reluctantly approved this activity after reviewing safety statistics, but insisted on accompanying Kira to observe. The commander stood rigid in her human disguise, a holographic projection that made her appear as a tall human woman with pale skin and dark hair. The disguise was necessary for interaction with humans who were not cleared for alien contact. Are you sure this is necessary for your research, Vela? Asked quietly as they were fitted with jumpsuits and harnesses. I believe experiencing activities humans associate with controlled fear has research value, Kira responded. Without direct experience, I cannot fully understand the phenomenon. Olivia approached wearing her jumpsuit with practiced ease. This will be a tandem jump, she explained to both Zentari. Each of you will be harnessed to an experienced instructor. Your bodies are much denser than humans, so we've adjusted the parachute specifications inside the aircraft. Kira observed the human skydivers. Their vital signs showed elevated heart rates and increased respiratory function, classic physiological indicators of fear. Yet their facial expressions showed excitement. Their behavior was a puzzle, a contradiction that Kira hoped to understand. When it was her turn, Kira moved to the open door of the aircraft. The instructor attached to her back gave final instructions. The ground was visible far below, a patchwork of fields and roads. Kira felt no hesitation as she followed the command to jump. The sensation of falling was new. Air rushed past as gravity pulled her downward. Her Zentari physiology registered the experience, categorizing the sensations. Wind speed, gravitational pull, temperature, changes. The instructor signaled for her to spread her arms, creating resistance against the airflow. Kira searched her internal responses for anything resembling fear. There was awareness of danger, a recognition that failure of the parachute would result in death, but this knowledge remained analytical. The instructor deployed the parachute, creating a sudden jerk as their descent slowed. The floating sensation that followed was almost pleasant, a gentle drift toward the ground after landing. Kira found Olivia waiting. Her human guide was flushed with excitement, her pupils dilated, evidence of adrenaline in her system. How was it? Olivia asked. Did you feel anything? Kira considered. I felt the physical sensations, but not the emotional response humans describe. There was no fear, only awareness of potential danger. Commander Vela joined them, having completed her own jump. The commander appeared unchanged by the experience. I fail to see the research value in this activity. She stated this merely confirms what we already know. Zentari do not experience fear as humans do. Olivia looked between them. Maybe skydiving was too controlled, she suggested. The fear element is reduced by the safety measures and predictability. What about something more unpredictable? What do you propose? Kira asked. The next day, they traveled to what Olivia called a haunted house attraction, a dark building designed to frighten humans through surprise and disturbing imagery. Kira found the concept fascinating, humans creating environments specifically to trigger fear responses for entertainment. Commander Vela insisted on scanning the building before approving entry. The commander used Zentari technology to map the structure and identify all potential stimuli. Once satisfied there was no actual danger, she permitted the research to continue. The attraction was dark with narrow corridors and sudden lighting changes. Humans in costumes portraying various monsters jumped out at intervals, Kira observed. Olivia's reactions. The human showed classic startled responses, flinching at sudden movements and sounds. Her heart rate increased significantly during these encounters. None of the stimuli affected Kira in the same way her superior vision allowed her to see clearly in the darkness. The creatures were obviously humans in artificial coverings. The loud sounds registered but did not trigger startle reflexes. Her Zentari physiology processed each stimulus logically. Halfway through the attraction, they encountered a section designed to simulate abandonment. The corridor split into multiple paths, each person directed to take a different route. This wasn't in the building schematic. Commander Vela objected. "It's part of the experience," Olivia explained. "We each go through alone and meet on the other side." The commander hesitated but ultimately approved. After confirming the paths all led to the same exit, Kira proceeded down her assigned path. The corridor narrowed and darkened further. Strange sounds emanated from hidden speakers, creating disorientation. Kira realized a clever tactic for humans who relied heavily on visual input. As she turned a corner, Kira encountered something unexpected: a chamber filled with mist. The fog was dense, obscuring vision even for her Zentari eyes. She hesitated. This environmental condition had not been in Vela's scan. Something cold touched her shoulder from behind. Kira turned quickly, but saw nothing. The mist swirled around her, thick and disorienting. She attempted to use her other senses to navigate, but the chamber seemed designed to confuse all sensory input. There was a sound behind her again. Something moving through the mist. For the first time, Kira felt an unfamiliar sensation, a quickening of her pulse, a heightened alertness that seemed different from normal awareness. She reached out, touching a wall, and began following it, seeking the exit. The sounds continued, sometimes close, sometimes distant. When Kira finally emerged from the mist chamber, she found Commander Vela waiting. The commander's expression was stern. "Did you encounter the mist environment?" she asked. "Yes," Kira replied. "It was not in your scan." "It was not." Vela agreed. "The humans appear to have active camouflage technology that blocked our sensors." "This is concerning." Olivia joined them, emerging from her own path, her heart rate still elevated but a smile on her face. "Well, that was definitely scary," she said. Then, noting their expressions, "Is everything okay?" The commander stepped forward. "Your attraction contained technology capable of blocking our scans. This violates our security protocols." Olivia looked confused. "I don't know what you're talking about." "It's just theatrical fog and sound effects." The Zentari exchanged glances. Was it possible human entertainment technology had inadvertently created something that could interfere with Zentari sensors? The implications were significant. Later that evening, after returning to the research facility, Kira reviewed her physiological data from the haunted attraction. Her readings showed something unusual. During the mist chamber, her neural patterns had shifted briefly, activating pathways normally dormant in Zentari physiology. Commander Vela entered Kira's quarters without announcing herself. The commander looked at the data displays. "Your readings show anomalies," she stated. "Yes," Kira acknowledged. "Something in the mist chamber triggered an unusual response. I believe it may be related to primitive alertness mechanisms." Vela studied the data closely. This could indicate contamination from human environments. The High Council will want to review these findings. You may require neural recalibration. Kira felt something unexpected at the commander's words. A resistance to the idea of recalibration. "I believe this response warrants further study," she said. "Rather than suppressing it, we should understand its cause and function." The commander looked at Kira with unreadable eyes. "You sound increasingly like a human researcher, Kira. Remember, your primary loyalty is to the Zentari, not to scientific curiosity." After Vela left, Kira continued examining her data. The neural pathway that had activated was ancient, according to Zentari evolutionary biology. A remnant from before their species had evolved emotional suppression. The fact that it could still activate suggested something important. The Zentari had not truly evolved beyond emotions. They had merely buried them deep in their neural architecture. The next morning, Kira found Olivia, waiting in the research facility's common area. The human appeared concerned. "What happened yesterday?" she asked. "Your commander seemed upset about something in the haunted house." Kira considered how much to reveal. "Something in the mist environment triggered an unexpected response in my physiology," she said carefully. "It may have implications for my research." Olivia leaned forward. "What kind of response?" "I experienced something that might be a precursor to what humans call fear." Kira admitted a heightened alertness when sensory input was compromised, and that's bad. Olivia asked, "For the Zentari, yes." Kira said, "Our species values control and predictability. Emotional responses are considered primitive and dangerous." Olivia nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "So you're not supposed to feel anything. And if you do, it would be considered contamination." Kira finished requiring neural recalibration, "But isn't that exactly what you came to study?" Olivia asked. "How fear functions." "Yes," Kira acknowledged. "But my people expected me to remain an observer, not a participant." Olivia smiled. This just got a lot more interesting. Kira sat in the human laboratory watching Dr. Patricia run tests on the sample of mist collected from the haunted attraction. The doctor had agreed to help analyze the substance after Olivia explained its potential research value. They had not revealed the full reason for their interest, only that it might have properties affecting sensory perception. "The initial results are fascinating," Dr. Patricia said, looking at her display. "The fog contains a compound similar to human stress hormones, but modified in a way I've never seen. It seems designed to be absorbed through skin contact." Kira processed this information. "Is it harmful to humans?" she asked. The doctor shook her head. "Not that I can detect. It appears to enhance sensory awareness temporarily, making people more receptive to fear stimuli. A clever trick for a haunted house. I wonder where they got it. Could you identify the source?" Olivia asked. Dr. Patricia typed commands into her system. "I'm running it through our database now," she said. "It might take time." This isn't a common compound. Kira felt conflicted. She should report this finding to Commander Vela immediately. The presence of a compound affecting Zentari neurology was a significant security concern. Yet she hesitated. If the commander knew they were investigating further without authorization, it would end the research. While the doctor worked, Kira and Olivia stepped into the hallway to speak privately. "You realize what this could mean?" Olivia said quietly. "Something in that fog temporarily bypassed your species' emotional suppression. It activated fear responses your people thought were eliminated. It is one possibility," Kira acknowledged, "but there could be other explanations. The compound might interact with Zentari biology in ways unrelated to emotions." Olivia looked skeptical. "You said yourself you felt something like fear in that chamber. And now we find a compound specifically designed to enhance fear responses. We should not jump to conclusions." Kira cautioned, "I must consider all possibilities before reporting to my superiors. I've got something," Dr. Patricia called from the laboratory. They returned to find the doctor looking excited. "This compound isn't natural," she explained. "It's synthetic. And according to our database, it's experimental, not commercially available." "Who created it?" Olivia asked. Patricia pointed to her screen. "A research company called Neurasense. They specialize in neurochemical applications, primarily medical treatments for anxiety and panic disorders." Kira considered the implications. A human company had created a compound that could affect Zentari neurology. This was unexpected. Humans were not supposed to have technology capable of influencing Zentari physiology. The two species had evolved in completely different environments. "We need to visit this company," Kira said. "Commander Vela would not approve such a visit without explanation," Olivia pointed out. "And if you tell her about the compound, she would end the research and report to the High Council." Kira finished. "The commander might even order an immediate return to our homeworld. Then we don't tell her." Olivia suggested we can visit Neurasense without official approval, just the two of us, as part of our cultural exchange activities. The suggestion violated Zentari protocols. Yet Kira found herself considering it. Her research mission was to understand fear. This compound might provide critical insights. The logical course was to gather more information before reporting. I will consider your suggestion, Kira said finally. Later that day, Kira reviewed the approved schedule of activities, looking for an opportunity. One item caught her attention: a visit to a human research center to observe scientific methods. The description was vague enough that they might be able to substitute neurosense without raising suspicion. That evening, Commander Vela called a meeting of the Zentari research team. Our preliminary findings are troubling, she announced. Human emotions, particularly fear, appear more complex than our initial models suggested. Their fear responses are integrated with decision-making and cognitive functions in ways that may have evolutionary advantages, one of the other scientists responded. This contradicts established Zentari doctrine. The suppression of emotions was necessary for our advancement. Commander Vela nodded. I am aware of the implications, she said. That is why we must be thorough in our research. We cannot risk contamination by human emotional patterns. Kira listened, carefully noting the commander's choice of words. Contamination implied danger. Yet the research results suggested value in the human approach to emotions. This contradiction troubled her. The next morning, Kira met Olivia at the transport vehicle. The Human Research Center visit was scheduled for today. Olivia drove while Kira monitored her communication device, ensuring Commander Vela did not attempt contact. The Neurosense building was located in a human industrial complex, a modern structure with extensive security. Olivia approached the reception area with confidence. We're here to see Dr. Alice Morgan, she told the receptionist. We're from the International Research Exchange Program. Kira observed the humans' interaction. The lie was delivered smoothly, without physiological indicators of deception. She had not known Olivia was capable of such behavior. The receptionist checked a display. I'm not showing any appointments with Dr. Morgan today. We're a late addition. Olivia explained. If you could, just let her know we're here. I'm sure she'll want to speak with us. Kira maintained her human disguise while the receptionist communicated with someone. She was uncomfortable with the deception, but recognized its necessity for the research. The potential knowledge gained outweighed the protocol violation. A human female appeared in the reception area, tall with short gray hair and intense eyes. You wanted to see me, she asked, looking at them with suspicion. Dr. Morgan. Olivia stepped forward. We were hoping to discuss your work on neurochemical compounds, specifically those affecting fear responses. The scientist looked between them. I don't give interviews about ongoing research, she said. And I don't recognize either of you from the scientific community. We have a particular interest in a compound used at the Darkwater Haunted Attraction. Olivia continued. One that enhances fear. Perception. Dr. Morgan's expression changed. You found traces of FC-27 at Darkwater, she said sharply. That compound is not approved for public use. It appeared effective, Kira said carefully. Perhaps too effective. Dr. Morgan studied Kira more closely. You don't look familiar, yet you speak as if you have knowledge of neurochemistry. Who exactly are you? Olivia intervened. We're researching emotional responses in different populations, she explained. We encountered your compound and became interested in its mechanisms. The scientist seemed unsatisfied with this answer, but after a moment made a decision. Come with me, she said. But this conversation is off the record. They followed Dr. Morgan through security checkpoints into a laboratory area. The space contained advanced equipment, much of it unfamiliar to Kira. Despite her knowledge of human technology, FC-27 is a neurochemical enhancer. The scientist explained, designed to treat patients with emotional processing disorders. It increases sensory awareness and emotional receptivity. The version you encountered was likely stolen from our lab 6 months ago. We reported the theft to authorities. Why would someone steal it? Olivia asked. Dr. Morgan activated a display showing molecular structures. FC-27 has potential applications beyond medical treatment, she said. In controlled doses, it enhances emotional experiences, making them more intense without dulling cognitive function. Unlike recreational drugs, it leaves decision-making intact. Could it affect species with different neurochemistry? Kira asked carefully. The scientist looked at Kira with renewed interest. That's an unusual question, she said. Most compounds are species-specific, but FC27 works on fundamental neural mechanisms that might be conserved across species. We haven't had the opportunity to test beyond humans. Obviously, Kira processed this information. The compound had not been designed to affect Centauri. It was a coincidence that it could interact with their neurology. A troubling coincidence that suggested Centauri emotional suppression might be more vulnerable than her people believed. Do you have data on how it affects different individuals? Kira asked. Those with varying baseline emotional responses, Doctor. Morgan hesitated, seeming to consider how much to reveal. Our research shows interesting patterns, she said. Finally, individuals with naturally lower emotional baselines show the most dramatic responses to FC27. It's as if the compound bypasses whatever is inhibiting their emotional processing. Kira felt something unexpected, a quickening similar to what she had experienced in the mist chamber. Was this anticipation? A proto-emotion signaling the importance of this discovery as they prepared to leave the facility. Olivia spoke quietly to Kira. This changes everything, doesn't it? Your people aren't emotionless by nature. You've just been suppressing your emotions so effectively you forgot they exist. Kira did not respond immediately. The implications were significant. If emotions were suppressed rather than evolved beyond, then the entire Centauri understanding of their own development might be flawed. Before they reached the exit, Dr. Morgan approached them again. One thing troubles me, she said. You never explained how you knew to connect FC27 to me specifically. That information isn't public. Kira recognized the danger in the scientist's suspicion. Dr. Patricia identified the compound signature, she explained truthfully. Dr. Morgan nodded slowly. Only someone with access to our research profile would know to look for that signature, she said, and I don't recall authorizing any Patricia to have that information. Olivia smiled disarmingly. Dr. Patricia Gordon from Central Research Hospital. Perhaps she's a colleague you haven't met. Commander Vela stood in Kira's quarters, her posture rigid with controlled anger. You violated direct protocol, she said. Your visit to Neurasense was unauthorized. Your actions risk the entire mission. Kira faced her superior, knowing the consequences could be severe. I followed a research lead, she replied. The findings have significant implications for our understanding of Centauri physiology. That is not your decision to make. The commander stated you were sent to study human fear, not to investigate our own neural structure. Explain yourself. Kira hesitated, weighing how much to reveal. The compound FC27 affected my neural patterns, she admitted. It activated pathways that should be dormant in Centauri. Physiology. Commander Vela moved closer, studying Kira with intense focus. You experienced emotional contamination, not contamination. Kira corrected. Activation of suppressed neural pathways. There is evidence that Centauri emotional suppression is not evolutionary, but deliberately engineered. The commander's reaction was subtle but unmistakable, a brief widening of her eyes before control returned. What evidence, she demanded. Kira explained what they had learned at Neurasense. The compound designed for humans with emotional processing disorders had affected Centauri neurology in ways that should be impossible unless the pathways still existed. This information is dangerous, Vela said after listening. Your theory contradicts thousands of years of Centauri history. It is not a theory, Commander Kira responded. It is a hypothesis based on evidence. The logical approach would be further investigation. Vela was silent for a moment. The commander appeared to be considering options. Finally, she spoke. I will report this to the High Council. They will decide how to proceed. Until then, you are relieved of your research duties. You will remain in your quarters. After the commander left, Kira felt another unfamiliar sensation. A restlessness, a desire to continue the investigation despite the commander's orders. This was dangerous thinking, for a Zentari duty and obedience were fundamental, yet the evidence suggested their entire understanding of themselves might be based on deliberate suppression. Her communication device activated. It was Olivia. "Are you?" "Okay. I've been trying to reach you. I am confined to quarters," Kira replied. "The commander discovered our unauthorized visit. Can you get out?" Olivia asked. "I think I found something important. Dr. Patricia analyzed your scan results. There are similarities between your neural patterns during the mist exposure and patterns seen in humans with artificial emotional suppression. This aligns with my hypothesis," Kira said. "But I cannot leave. My actions are being monitored." There was silence. Then Olivia spoke. "Again, what if I come to you? The research facility isn't restricted. I can visit as your cultural liaison." The suggestion had merit but carried risk. Commander Vela would be suspicious of any visit. However, there were no explicit orders against it. "We'll request permission for a final cultural exchange meeting." Kira decided to conclude our work properly. An hour later, Olivia arrived at the research facility. She was escorted to Kira's quarters by security personnel. Commander Vela observed the interaction from a distance. "I was concerned when our session was cancelled," Olivia said loudly enough for others to hear. "I wanted to ensure all paperwork was properly completed." Once they were alone with the door closed, Olivia spoke quietly. "I brought the data." She removed a small device from her pocket, activating a display. "Dr. Patricia found something fascinating in your scans." Kira examined the images. The display showed comparative neural scans, her own brain during the mist chamber experience, alongside a human brain with artificial neural implants. The patterns were remarkably similar. "These are from a patient with emotional regulation implants," Olivia explained, "technology designed to control dangerous emotional outbursts. The activation patterns when the system engages look almost identical to what happened in your brain during exposure to FC-27. This suggests Zentari have similar technology," Kira said, "perhaps on a cellular or molecular level. Something integrated into our neural structure." "Exactly," Olivia nodded. "And if that's true, your people aren't naturally emotionless. You just have extremely sophisticated emotional suppression. That's been part of your biology for so long you think it's natural." The implications were profound. If Zentari emotional suppression was technological rather than evolutionary, it meant their entire understanding of their species development was based on controlled information. Their perceived superiority over emotional species like humans was founded on artificial intervention, not natural selection. "I need to access the Zentari historical database," Kira said. "There might be records from before the suppression." "How," Olivia asked, "won't your commander prevent that?" Kira considered options. The ship's database contained historical records beyond what individual Zentari carried in their personal knowledge. But access required authorization. Commander Vela controlled all mission systems. "There may be a way," Kira said. "During neural recalibration, the system must access historical neural patterns to restore proper function. I could use the medical chamber but modify its parameters." "That sounds dangerous," Olivia said. "What happens if something goes wrong?" Kira did not answer immediately. The risk was significant. Neural recalibration without proper supervision could cause permanent damage. But the potential knowledge was worth the danger. "I must try," she said finally. "If Zentari have been manipulating our own evolution, it changes everything we believe about ourselves and other species." "How do we get you to the medical chamber?" Olivia asked. "The security protocols will be challenging," Kira acknowledged. "But I believe I can create a diversion." Later that night, when most of the research team was in rest cycle, Kira activated an emergency alert in a distant section of the facility. The warning systems indicated environmental contamination, requiring immediate response. Commander Vela and security personnel moved quickly to investigate. Kira used the distraction to access the medical chamber. The circular room contained a central platform surrounded by neural scanning equipment. She activated the system using her research clearance. The display showed limited access, but enough for her purposes. Livia watched nervously from the doorway. "Hurry," she said. "The commander won't be distracted for long." Kira positioned herself on the platform and began modifying the system's parameters. Instead of recalibration, she set it to access historical, neural templates. The earliest records available, the system warned of protocol violations, but Kira overrode the safeguards. The scanner activated bathing. Kira in soft blue light. Her consciousness began to blur as the system connected with her neural pathways. Images and sensations flooded her mind. Fragmented memories not her own. Historical data stored in the ship's database. Kira saw Zentari from the distant past. Their behavior was different, expressive, emotional. They showed joy, sorrow, anger, fear. Their society was vibrant, chaotic, creative. Then came images of conflict, destruction, war suffering, the development of neural technology designed to control dangerous emotions, a temporary solution that became permanent, somewhere distant. Kira heard Olivia calling her name. The human sounded worried, but Kira could not respond. The historical data continued flowing, showing generations of Zentari gradually accepting emotional suppression, not as evolution, but as necessity, a choice made to prevent their own destruction. When the process finally ended, Kira found herself lying on the platform, Olivia bending over her with concern. The human helped her sit up. "What happened?" Olivia asked. "Did you find what you were looking for?" "More, Kira," said her voice unsteady. "I saw the truth. Our ancestors chose suppression after a devastating war. They believed emotions, particularly fear and anger, had nearly destroyed our species. The technology was meant to be temporary, but became permanent. Each generation accepted it as natural until the truth was forgotten. And now you remember," Olivia said. Before Kira could respond, the chamber door opened. Commander Vela stood there with security personnel. The commander's expression was cold. "You have accessed restricted historical data," she said. "This is treason." "No," Kira replied, standing with Olivia's help. "This is truth. The Zentari Council has hidden our true history. We did not evolve beyond emotions. We chose to suppress them, and in doing so, we lost something valuable." The commander signaled to security. "Take her to containment," she ordered. "She requires immediate neural recalibration." As the security personnel approached, Kira felt something new rising within her, a powerful, urgent sensation that demanded action. Fear, she realized, a true fear. Not for herself, but for what would be lost if the truth remained hidden. Kira faced the Zentari security personnel, her mind racing with newfound knowledge and unfamiliar emotions. Commander Vela stood watching her with cold calculation. The commander had always been loyal to Zentari doctrine. Now Kira understood why. That loyalty was engineered, not chosen. "You cannot suppress the truth," Kira said. "Our people deserve to know their history. What they deserve is stability," the commander replied. "Your contamination threatens thousands of years of peace." Olivia stepped between them. "This isn't right," she said. "You can't just rewrite her brain because she discovered something inconvenient." Commander Vela regarded the human with detached interest. "You mistake our purpose, human. The neural recalibration is not punishment. It is correction. A return to proper function, not proper function," Kira countered. "Controlled function. I have seen our true nature before the suppression. Zentari were emotional beings. We felt fear, joy, sorrow, love. We were not so different from humans." The security personnel moved closer, surrounding Kira and Olivia. The commander gave a final order. "Take them both. The human will be detained until we depart." In that moment, Kira felt something unexpected emerge from deep within her neural pathways. A powerful protective impulse toward Olivia. She could not allow the human to be detained. Olivia had helped her discover truth, had risked her own safety. For a human, the concept of friendship existed without suppression. Kira made a decision that would have been impossible before her exposure to FC-27 and the historical data. She reached out, activating the emergency containment system with a neural command available only to researchers. The facility lights flickered as force fields engaged, separating the security personnel from Kira and Olivia. "Commander." The security chief called. "What is happening?" Kira has activated containment protocols. Vela replied, she cannot maintain them for long. Prepare the ship for emergency departure. Olivia looked at Kira with surprise. What did you do? Created a diversion. Kira explained, taking Olivia's arm. We must reach the communication center. The other Zentari researchers need to see what I discovered. They moved quickly through the facility using Kira's access to bypass security systems. The commander would override them soon, but they had minutes, perhaps less. The communication center contained equipment capable of transmitting data to all Zentari on Earth, and potentially to their homeworld, when they reached the center. Kira began transferring the historical data she had accessed along with her own neural scans, showing the activation patterns. The evidence was clear. Zentari emotional suppression was technological, not evolutionary. A deliberate modification. Maintained through generations. Commander Vela entered the center alone. The security team must be dealing with the containment breach. Kira realized the commander approached slowly, her posture revealing nothing of her thoughts. You cannot succeed, Vela said. The High Council will dismiss this as contamination. They have maintained the truth for thousands of years. They will not allow it to emerge now. Why? Kira asked, continuing to prepare the transmission. Why hide this from our own people? The commander seemed to consider whether to answer. Emotions nearly destroyed our species, she said finally. Fear led to aggression, aggression to war. Our ancestors made the only choice possible for survival. But that was thousands of years ago, Kira countered. We have evolved since then. We could choose differently now with greater wisdom, evolved Vela. Repeated with something like bitterness. We have not evolved. Kira, we have been maintained. The suppression technology prevents true evolution. It maintains us in stasis, perfect, unchanging, empty. The commander's words revealed something unexpected. Vela knew the truth. She had always known. Kira realized. This was not just about following orders. The commander was protecting a system she believed necessary. Despite its cost, you know what we lost, Kira said, understanding dawning. Vela did not deny it. I have seen the historical records, she admitted, all command level. Zentari know the truth. We bear that burden, so others need not. But it should be a choice, Kira insisted. Not a secret kept by the powerful. The commander moved closer. Her expression remained controlled, but something in her eyes had changed. The suppression is weakening in you, she observed. Your exposure to the compound, the human influence, the historical data. You are experiencing emotions. Yes, Kira acknowledged. And you could too. The technology can be reversed. We could reclaim what was taken from us. Olivia watched the exchange with growing tension. The security override will complete, soon, she warned. They could break in any minute. Vela looked at the human, then back to Kira. If you release this information, you risk everything. Our society functions because of stability. Emotions bring chaos, unpredictability, suffering, and joy. Kira added connection, purpose. The things humans experience that we have forgotten. The transmission was ready, requiring only final activation. Kira hesitated, watching the commander. Would Vela try to stop her by force? The security override was nearly complete. Soon the facility would be under control again. What happened next surprised both Kira and Olivia. Commander Vela stepped forward and placed her hand on the transmission control alongside Kira's. Perhaps it is time, she said softly. Our people have lived half-lives for too long. Together they activated the transmission. The data flowed outward, reaching every Zentari researcher on Earth and broadcasting toward their homeworld. The truth about their history, their nature, their potential. The security team broke through the door moments later but stopped in confusion, seeing their commander standing with Kira. Commander, the security chief said, "What are your orders?" Vela turned to face them. "Inform all Zentari personnel to report for debriefing," she said. "We have new information that requires immediate attention." After the security team departed, Olivia approached cautiously. "Why did you help?" she asked Vela. The commander was silent for a moment. "Something in my neural patterns has been changing," Since we arrived on Earth, she admitted the human environment, perhaps trace amounts of their compound in the air, perhaps simply exposure to their emotional freedom. I have been fighting it following protocol, but Kira's discovery confirmed what I have suspected. The suppression is neither natural nor permanent. What happens now? Kira asked. Chaos most likely. Vela replied, some Zentari will reject the information, others will embrace it. Our society will fracture before it can heal, but it will be genuine. For the first time in thousands of years, we will feel our choices, not just calculate them. The implications extended beyond Zentari society. Kira realized their relationship with humans would transform as well. No longer would they view emotional species as primitive. Their interactions would be based on shared experience rather than perceived superiority. In the days that followed, the Zentari research team experienced the beginning of neural changes. The suppression technology required reinforcement. Without it, emotional pathways began to reactivate gradually. The process was different for each individual. Some experienced fear first, others curiosity, joy, or anger. The transition was difficult, painful at times, but also illuminating. Olivia remained with Kira, helping her navigate the new sensations. The human provided context and guidance, explaining emotional responses that humans understood instinctively. Their friendship deepened as barriers fell. 1 month after the transmission, Kira stood with Olivia watching the sunset from the research facility. The colors seemed more vibrant now that Kira was beginning to experience them emotionally, not just visually. The High Council has responded, Kira said. The initial denial has given way to acknowledgement. Too many Zentari demanded answers. They have agreed to make the suppression technology optional. Each individual can choose whether to maintain it or gradually disable it. Olivia smiled. That seems fair. A personal choice, yes, Kira agreed. And you? What will you do now that the research project has changed? I'll stay, Olivia said, if you'll have me. Someone needs to help you understand these new emotions, and I admit, I'm curious to see how Zentari society evolves now. Kira felt a warmth in her chest that she now recognized as gratitude, perhaps even affection. I would welcome your continued assistance, she said. Then with a small smile, I believe I am experiencing fear about the future, but also hope. Is that normal? Perfectly normal, Olivia assured her. That's what makes life interesting. The uncertainty, the possibility, the fear and hope together. That's what makes us alive. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Kira truly understood what the human meant.